The following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. It's game time. This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
And I understand we have a birthday today.
It's your birthday.
Somebody's birthday today.
I'm noping right out of here. All right.
AJ was telling me you gave him strict instructions to not mention your birthday on the show.
That was correct, yes.
Today's Troy's birthday. We could just leave it at that.
Yeah, why don't we?
Or we could just, hear the story of Troy Coverdale.
Yeah, let me just put it this way. The doctor gave me a gift today by telling me all was clear from Monday. I'm good.
Well, there you go.
So we'll leave it there.
Here's your gift. We'll do this for your birthday.
Okay.
How about this? Does anybody need tickets to Saturday's game?
Hey, there you go.
Because I have a pair of tickets in my hand. Gonna give them away in hour number 2. That is a pair of tickets to K-State football this Saturday against UT Martin. Word on the street is that game is now at standing room only tickets. These are 2 seats.
I did see that on the website. That SRO was where the link took you to.
These tickets are for free. So here's what we're going to do. Coming up in hour number 2, 5:25-ish, we'll play the classic game of KSU or UTM. Series of 3 questions that you need to get 2 right to win the tickets. And if you do so, you get the tickets. Here's the deal. If you want to play, we have a text line now. 785-537-1350. It's the same phone number as the call line here at the radio station. Like if you want to call in, chime in about something or a question, you call 537-1350.
Complain at the host.
Now you text that number. Text me the word cats. Give me a cat's gif. Something with cats. Text us for the next hour or so. And we'll pick a number by random. We have an option here on this text thing to pick a number at random.
Nice.
And that person will be getting a call. And if you pick up, you get to play the game to win 2 tickets.
Look at you working the system. Learning how to utilize the text window.
It's
at
pretty
random.
neat.
That's pretty slick.
Pretty neat.
Yeah.
You do need to leave your name with us, though. We do need to know who your name is, obviously.
Well, when we call them, we can ask for a name.
I just want to know their name, period. But
Well,
it's
when
your
you
show,
call
so
them, yeah,
We'll find out when we call them and award them.
So text cats or
You're-
send us a GIF.
What, you trying to increase your contact list? Is that what you're up to?
yeah. No, I'm kidding.
The phone number is 785-537-1350. Give us a text if you want to play KSU or UTM for 2 tickets for Saturday's game, kicking off the K-State football season against UT Martin.
I just want to laugh really quick. Mitch's reaction was great when I played the birthday theme. He was like so surprised for a second.
Well, I wasn't surprised. I knew it was coming. It was a more of a, oh, what's this? Is it Troy's birthday?
Yeah.
So I know he did want to talk about it. Coming up in hour number 2 as well, other than playing a K-State football ticket giveaway, K-State regular season wins over under. Vegas set it at 9.5. That is our next prediction out of 20. We obviously got to talk about the Royals. What a series they just had against the Cleveland Guardians. Had an opportunity today to move into first place in the American League Central. They didn't quite get there, but it was still a phenomenal series for the Kansas City Royals. And UConn, Big 12, that really took off last week. Getting a few more details trickling out these last couple of days, so we'll get the latest on that hopefully at 5:40.
I mean, we seriously are going to play this game.
But guys, it's Wednesday, and you know what that means. AEW Dynamite tonight from AJ's stomping grounds, from State Farm Center in Champaign, Illinois, the home of the Illinois Fighting Illini college basketball team.
Know the place.
And we're also just a couple of weeks out from AEW's next pay-per-view. And that is AEW All Out at the Now Arena in Chicago, coming up on September 7th. But we're joined by today Derek Young from KSN Online. He joins us via the computer. DY, are you one to tell people that it's your birthday, or you just wait till somebody says happy birthday?
No, I'd rather it not be known or, kind of go under the radar. I'm not one that really enjoys being the center of attention.
Me neither. Me neither. When's your birthday, by the way, DY?
May 2nd.
May 2nd. There you go. We'll get that on the birthday list. We'll get him a shout out on May 2nd.
Yep.
2025 will be the next birthday for Derek Young from K-State Online. Well, DY, thanks for joining us once again. I know today or yesterday you released an article at K-State Online talking about storylines heading into Saturday. What's on your mind? What do you want to see this Saturday against UT Martin?
Yeah, I'm curious about the defensive wrinkles. I think we're going to see some different looks from that side of the ball. That'll be interesting, mainly with the defensive line. I think you'll still have that base 3-3-5, but I think we're going to be seeing some different twists there as well, where it's not just a 3-down lineup for the majority. The explosiveness, right? We've heard it all off season. Got to get more explosive. Got to stop the other team from being explosive. So that should take form against UT Martin, because you do expect to be able to out-talent the Skyhawks, of course. And then, quite frankly, 34-0 over South Dakota 2 years ago, I believe 45-0 over SEMO last year. Do you kind of continue that week one shutout streak of the FCS opponent?
Yeah. If they get it done 3 years in a row, that's never happened before. K-State has never shut out 3 opponents in a row to start a season. What was it, 2 years ago, South Dakota 34-0. Last year was SEMO 45-0. What did you put a prediction on that game on the game already Saturday? Do you have a shutout?
I don't. I have it close. I have it 45-3.
I don't have a prediction yet. I'm sure it'd be somewhere around there, 49-7, 45-3, something like that. I'm sure everybody's in that area. Now, have you picked out a player yet that you expect to be the breakout player? I'm talking about a player that was already here last year. I mean, Hector was 21, either redshirt freshman or true sophomore is on the depth chart. Do you have a player that you have predicted that will be the breakout this year?
Yeah, I mean, there is several good choices, and I imagine that most people are probably picking one of those defensive ends to emerge. Not saying that doesn't happen, but I think the one that I've kind of picked the most in my head has been Andrew Leingang. I just think that at some point he's going to become a full-time starter, if not in week one, and kind of take the bull by the horns, become one of the better offensive linemen, on the Kansas State team, if not the Big 12, at least in the near future.
I remember last year, people may forget this will actually be this Saturday, Avery Johnson's second start at home, but it'll be first at quarterback because he got the jet sweep on the opening play. If you're Connor Riley, what are you scripting up for that first play? Are you giving it to DJ Giddens? Are you letting Avery throw the football? Is it just simply a Dylan, or is it a DJ Giddens handoff? How would you script it up? I know how I would.
I think I'm letting Avery throw it. This shouldn't be a game where you have to rely upon his legs, and the less you have to do that, the better, especially early on in the season and in games where it's not necessarily consequential or tight, or where you feel that's like your only offensive weapon, because there will come times this year where it's going to feel like, and this happens every season almost to every team, it's going to feel like the only way we can move the ball is with Avery's legs. So do that when that time comes, not necessarily against UT Martin. So I think letting Avery put it in the air a little bit is probably the right way to go.
I remember seeing video, I think Mason uploaded it at the first open practice that K-State had, and they were having Dylan run screenplays where he's like a slot receiver, screenplay, throws it out to the flat, and boy, I'm all about getting that ball out of the hands of Avery quickly and just letting your skill guys do what they do, and that's be athletic. So I'm going to go Dylan Edwards on my first play.
I do think he has a huge game. It would not shock me because I do think you want to take the ball out of Avery's hands more in a game like this. And I also wonder, do you ease DJ Giddens back into it a little bit? We know he had some off-season operation and then was mostly in the red limited contact jersey for most of training camp. I think you ease him back into it. You know what you got with him anyway. I think they use this game maybe as a launching point for Dylan Edwards.
Do you think we'll see much of the two running backs on the field, Dylan and DJ on the field at the same time a lot in the first game?
Probably not. More of a guess than anything. I think you maybe unload that in week 2 when you go to New Orleans.
Speaking with Derek Young from K-State Online. So I saw also at K-State Online today, this is fun stuff that I really like reading about, just about your guys' opinion. You guys put a prediction on every game this year. I'm pretty sure I think I saw Mason have K-State go 12-0, and I love it. You did not. Where did you have K-State suffering their first loss? What game was that?
Yeah, how surprised were you that Mason, of all people, is the one that had the Cats go undefeated? That one took me a little bit by surprise. As we all know, nothing wrong with it. Mason usually runs on the more pessimistic side. I had Kansas State losing only one game, so it's not even the first one. It's the only one, at least in the regular season. I had them being tripped up by West Virginia. That game is – I don't even like the Mountaineers this year. I think they're being very much overrated due to being able to capitalize off a very weak schedule a year ago. But I just think where that game is played, Kansas State hasn't had the best luck in Morgantown to begin with. But the spot on the schedule too, right? Like the week before, you have a game where everyone gets up for because of who it is. It's Coach Prime, it's Colorado, it's Deion, Shedeur Sanders, all that. But you play that in Boulder, right? At altitude, 2-3 different time zones away. Got to go all the way to the East Coast after that. A week later in Morgantown, knowing full well that following game after that is the Sunflower Showdown, which might be the biggest one in decades. So I just hate where that game is on the schedule for K-State. I think it's a trap game. I think they fall to West Virginia.
How wide open to you is the Big 12 this year? And I mean, I had Kellis on yesterday. He's thinking 7, 8, 9. He could see making a run to the Big 12 championship game as at the least dark horses when it comes to candidates. Do you see it that wide open? Do you slim it down a little bit more and have 4 or 5 as potential candidates?
Yeah, I don't think it's as wide open as people think. I think Utah is quite the machine. I think Oklahoma State is dangerous. I think Kansas State is dangerous. There's a part of me that doesn't know it gets beyond those 3 teams, quite frankly. So I'm a little bit different than everyone else on that front. If Kansas stays healthy, I would put them in that group. If not, then they don't belong there. I don't think Arizona is in that group personally. I don't think UCF is. I don't think Texas Tech is. I don't think Iowa State is. But I will say, watch out for Texas Tech. If I was to pick out a random dark horse that nobody else is picking, it is the Red Raiders. Because if you remember, everyone was kind of on them last year at this time, thinking that could be the team. But they played a really, really tricky schedule last year that people probably underrated. That was very complicated for them. And then they had the worst luck imaginable probably in the entire conference. And they still found a way to win 7 games. And I think people forget that. Now they have a much easier schedule. Look it up. They could start 5 or 6-0. Wouldn't be stunning. They have an easy non-con that I think they start with maybe Arizona State and Houston or something like that. And you know how it works. If you get those early games out of the way, you can kind of grow some confidence that maybe wasn't there before, and you become even more dangerous than what you should be. And we always have that example, it seems like, too, every year of a team that the public or the media, the general, all the folks that make prognostications might have been just a year too early on a team. It wouldn't surprise me if that this year was Texas Tech.
Speaking with Derek Young from K-State Online, let's take a break, and when we come back, got to ask what I feel is an important question about K-State expectations, the whole team through the season, expectations, plus got to take a trip by the recruiting because there's a pretty major basketball player visiting this weekend. We'll get more from Derek Young when we come back as you're listening to The Game.
You're in the game on News Radio KMAN.
Troy's favorite rapper, Snow, brings us back into the game on News Radio KMAN. Mitch, Troy, AJ, Derek Young from K-State Online standing by once again for our second segment. But AJ mentioned there right at the end of the update that Manhattan High has had to cancel their scheduled scrimmage open to the public tonight. And that's due to the heat. That really sucks. I was really looking forward to getting a sneak peek at this Manhattan High football team this year that is definitely talented enough to once again make a run to a 6A state championship just a couple of years removed from their win in 2022. I mean, J.J. Dunnigan is certainly talked about a lot in this preseason because he has now emerged as one of the top recruits out of the state of Kansas for the class of 2026. He's a defensive back. He's played corner last year for Manhattan High. And his brother Chris was so good last year as an outside linebacker, led the team in sacks. And now JJ has really emerged as one of the best players in the entire state of Kansas. He will be a junior this year. I know Wamego as well has also battled the elements with practice, having to do some morning practices, and that sometimes that happens with the heat. But we will have coverage, of course, in Manhattan High football this season. They'll open up at Garden City week 1. That'll be a week from Friday. We're back with Derek Young from K-State Online. DYT's right there before the break. Talking about expectations for the Cats, and maybe this is unnecessary bulletin board material to bring up this question, but you did say yourself that you expect a 11-1 season. That's how you broke down every game, and that's your prediction on the season. I think that for sure would put K-State in a Big 12 championship game. If not, it's coming down to tiebreakers at the very least, I would imagine. With how competitive and how strong this conference can be this year. Is it fair to say that if K-State doesn't make a Big 12 championship game this year, to you, would it be a letdown season?
Man, it's an appropriate question. With this schedule and with the talent on hand, the answer is probably yes. But my only reservation to saying yes would be the amount of first-time heavy contributors that they'll be relying on this year, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, where there's very little experience. There's a few offensive linemen, and there's DJ Giddens, and there's not much beyond that.
Yeah, heck, Dylan Edwards, Avery Johnson, as special as they are, they're pretty young. They're Jace Brown, they're sophomores. They're young. And we're looking at them as the best players on the offensive side of the ball.
And though it seems like he's really productive because of injuries, Keegan Johnson hasn't been out there a ton. Garrett Oakley, because of some injuries, and Ben Sinnott in front of him, hasn't been out there a ton. The left tackle is a multi-year starter, but it was at the FCS level. So there is question marks abound.
Yeah, and that's also considering, everybody, considering the wear and tear of the season, everybody for the most part being, healthy throughout the year and playing, not missing time. If you do have a significant injury or two, things can obviously change. But I think on the surface, I think most of us do expect K-State throughout the year to be in the driver's seat for a Big 12 championship spot. If K-State were to finish third or fourth in what feels like, you do have a strong 4 or 5 that can be a top-heavy Big 12, it would suck, but there's enough on this team that's already going to be returning next year to make it even a better run and a more experienced run. I would be disappointed. Would I be let down? Maybe a little bit, but maybe right now feels like let down to be a bit strong. I don't know.
From a roster construction standpoint, there is a definite argument that this team is built more to contend for 2025 just because of the experience element. But the caveat to that, the difference to that would maybe fly in the face of it a little bit, is that this year's schedule is a lot more conducive than what next year's will be.
Derek Young from K-State Online is our guest. All right, let's touch on some recruiting. How about in basketball? pretty big weekend for Jerome Tang's crew. Is let's see if Case Online, if you guys confirm this, that AJ Dabonsta, the number 1 recruit in the class of 2025, is going to be visiting this weekend.
Yeah, he will be on campus. It'll be a first of, I think, about 5 or 6 visits that he will take between now and the beginning of December, early or late November, along those lines. BYU considered to be probably the leader, but if I had to pick another tier, that next tier that is still challenging at this point, Kansas State would be a part of that, along with Alabama.
You think BYU's the front? Is Dabonsta, is he Mormon?
I do not know if he is Mormon or not, but they have been for months considered the front runner for his services, and I think an elite NIL player for that as well, and I think that is playing a huge factor. And that's also why Kansas State is competitive, so that's not really limiting to Kansas State. But he's also, there might be ties, because if you have to think about it, he will be playing his high school ball this year at Utah Prep School, which is obviously in Utah as well. So yeah. I don't know if he's Mormon, but obviously there's some kind of ties there for him to be playing his high school basketball in that state this year.
Yeah, like K-State, the LDS, they're flush with cash. You asked the special teams coach that just stepped away a few weeks ago from Colorado. He was asking his connections in the LDS for cash, and he was saying those connections are worth together like $4 trillion or something like that. So there's some dollar bills flying around. All right, so that's on the basketball side. Anything football-wise with this being the first football weekend of a game? Any notable recruits coming in, do you know of?
Well, Lincoln Cure will be back, a 5-star commit. So you'll have a 5-star football player and a 5-star basketball player on campus at the same time, which, that's not really common for K-State. It's kind of cool in itself. I think there's 2026 guys in state that they're trying to vie for will be in town. Ian Premer from Great Bend is one that comes to mind. And 2 2025 targets that they're still trying to nail down. One being on an official visit is defensive end Brad Stanier from Grapevine, Texas. So they'll try to probably land him this weekend, and along with Darian Whitaker, an athlete from the Omaha area. So those are 2 2025s that they probably hope to finish off this weekend. So Darian Whitaker and Brad Stanier.
All right, DY, before we go, one more question, and I'm thinking about asking this on PowerCat Game Day. Now, Mason Voth from KC Online will be representing KSO on PowerCat Game Day. Of course, DY has so many great shows going on. The KSO show, the 3 Mall podcast you got to check out. I think I'm going to ask this question. It was asked to me yesterday, and I think it's a pretty good one. Maybe some think it's more obvious than others. But, all right, I'm going to give you 3 teams. You tell me who in the 3 you think is going to win the most games. Colorado, Nebraska, Oklahoma. Out of that group, who do you think wins the most regular season games?
Nebraska. They are a program that is headed in the right direction, believe it or not. And I like their schedule the most out of those 3. I think Oklahoma is probably could end up in a world of hurt this year. There's a reason why they're the total for wins at the books is like 7.5 for them, and I would go under. And then Colorado could be the pick here because it feels like they'll either go like 3-9 or 9-3. Nothing really in between. But because of that volatility, I think the safe bet is Nebraska. They could be 7-0 when they go to Columbus and play Ohio State. Yeah,
the thing is, the weight of the world of Nebraska football is on one player's shoulders, and it's Patrick Mahomes' clone, who's a true freshman. Now he's the 7th best recruit in the class of 2024, but it's that young quarterback, that true freshman quarterback, that is going to be taking the reins for Nebraska. You're right, Oklahoma has an extremely tough schedule. They should be the best team out of the 3, but they got the toughest schedule. They're going everywhere. They got to play everybody for the most part, and who knows about Colorado. All right, DY, as always, we appreciate it. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you upstairs on Saturday.
You bet.
Derek Young, K-State Online, joining us here on The Game. And when we come back, boy, do we got to touch on the Royals. All of a sudden, they're right there. They could have taken the lead in the Central today. They fall a bit short. We'll get Troy's reaction. Maybe if AJ wants to jump in, because what a run the Royals just made for their contention against the Cleveland Guardians this week. More on the Royals next.
Your home for K-State sports.
Good snap and placement. Kick on the way. It is up. And good! It's good! The Wildcats are champions of the Big 12 in 2022.
This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
Delete that from that list. It's Troy's birthday, for God's sakes.
You want to know who told me to do that today?
Paul.
Yes. That's the only time I will ever play Nickelback on this show.
I mean, if you're going to play Nickelback, you might as well just play the lyrics. You might as well play the Chad Kroger.
Never made it as a wise man.
All right, take it easy, Casey Rocket. It's a stand-up comedian. We're back on The Game. Mitch Fortner, Trey Coverdale, and AJ Shaw. We'll take you to 6 o'clock. No Royals baseball tonight. They played this afternoon. However, we will have the first Chris Kleiman show of the 2024 season. That'll start at 7 o'clock right here on News Radio KMAN from PowerCast Sports Grill. All right, baseball fans. Kansas City Royals entered this 4-game series with a doubleheader on Monday, trailing the Cleveland Guardians by 3 games. And after that 4-game series wraps up, they trail by 1 game. They were close to a sweep. They were leading by, a couple of runs. Mm-hmm. You enter the final 3 innings of the game, and then, maybe Michael Wacha was out there a little bit too long. The bullpen had a grind of a 3 games so far against Cleveland. Maybe they're a little bit taxed.
Right.
And they just could not hold on to the lead. Listen, Royals fans, there's nothing to complain about.
Right.
The Royals just had a really good 4-game series. They have really good momentum now as they head into Houston for a weekend series, which, by the way, starts tomorrow. I think it'd be nice if they had a 4th straight Thursday off, but it won't happen this week.
No, and that is a issue going into this weekend for them because the bullpen has been taxed. The fact that you had the doubleheader on Monday played a role. And then what made it worse was what happened last night with Michael Lorenzen not being able to get out of the 2nd inning because of the stretch he made trying to turn a double play. Good aggressive play, but unfortunately he wound up hurting himself and then in the process hurt the team for a play that really wasn't all that close. And I think that probably is what disappoints me more than anything about how this game today played out is that you have been asking a lot out of the bullpen through this series, and they've performed. You reached a point today where they just couldn't. And Matt Quatraro tried to pull an extra inning out of Michael Wacha, got him into the 7th, and it didn't work. Well, you're going to have those. There are going to be times during the year that a manager will play the numbers, try and help his team out in a different way. In this case, it was by not going to the bullpen, try to squeeze out a little more time out of Wacha, and it didn't go right. And he had to quickly warm up Lucas Erceg, and he came in and wasn't as sharp as he's been in the past. And I think that the fact that they warmed him as quickly as they did played a role as well. But, let's be honest, he came in with the bases loaded already, and Wacha having given up, or I should say with runners on 1st and 2nd, but already a run home, as Wacha had given up 3 consecutive hits. And so it's just a tough situation where you look at today and you go, okay, all right, we ran out of gas. Go get them. Now you got to go take on a Houston team that right now is rolling this afternoon against the Phillies. And that's going to be a big series because they're sitting in first place in their division this weekend.
The Royals earlier this year already swept the Astros, but that was back in April.
That was when half the Astros were injured.
We're still trotting out old man Jose Abreu at first base.
Yeah, that's going to be a much different Astros team than what the Royals saw earlier in the season in Kansas City.
I was thinking about this during the game, though, even though it didn't work out for the Royals today. In the 3 previous games, how good? Because the bullpen has been the issue, right, this year?
Yes, it has.
That's been the issue that has held Kansas City back. But how good was the bullpen this week?
I'll tell you what.
Series?
And what has helped is that over the last stretch of games, the starters have gone deeper and deeper. And that has helped keep the bullpen in a much better situation. One of the problems for Cleveland down the stretch right now is the fact that their bullpen is tired. They have overused, I think, what was it they said today, the rookie reliever Gaddis has pitched in 63 games this year, second most on the team. It's an amazing number, but that's because their starting pitching has been problematic all season. And it's evidenced by the fact that Kansas City got to the pitchers for multiple runs each game this series. For Kansas City, yeah, you feel a lot better about how this bullpen has sorted itself out over the last few weeks. But part of that is also because the starters have continued to perform exceptionally well and have been lengthened out through the course of these last couple of weeks again. Really about the only hiccup that you can say that has happened with the starters in the last couple of weeks is Seth Lugo's been a little bit off. He looked really off the other day, and I commented on it, that early on it looked like he had no feel for where the ball was going, but he was even able to get them at least into the 5th inning, and they pull out a victory.
It'll be interesting to see how long Cole Reagans is out, because remember he left Monday's game early with the hamstring or calf cramp. So hopefully he's not out too long.
They've made no move whatsoever with him.
All right. So you hope he's not out, not going to the IL.
No, Lorenzen is going to the IL,
he
however.
Will be. Yeah, that's true. So
no, that's already been announced today.
Did? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's already been announced today.
So Alec Marsh will probably get more starting time here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, they'll bring him back up in all likelihood. And there again, now you get the opportunity to reevaluate where you are with the rotation and a couple of guys that you have sitting in Omaha. And what are they going to be able to do to pick up for you in place of Lorenzen going down with that hamstring for the next 2 weeks? So it'll be 2 turns in the rotation that he'll miss, and we'll see what plays out. But it's going to be an interesting run here over the next couple of weeks again, as we have talked about, because not only is it Houston now this weekend, you turn right back around and Monday afternoon is going to be a 75-degree day on Labor Day at Kauffman Stadium for a 3:10 start.
Excellent
Holy
time.
smokes, what a great day to be at the ballpark.
Excellent time, too, to start a game.
You going to go?
Unfortunately, no, I will not, because of other things that are going on.
Okay.
But Cleveland's in town. That's the first of 3 against the Guardians. The last time that the teams will match up in the regular season. And it's a huge series, given even what played out today. Yeah, the Royals are 1 back. Well, where will they be after this weekend with 4 games against Houston now in front of them? Great question. And it's going to be a lot of fun to continue to watch and see how this fight for the division title continues, because the Twins are there. And, the thing that is the most attention-grabbing about all of this season, there isn't an overwhelming team in the league. Everybody has multiple flaws, and everybody has multiple positives. You can sit and talk about the Yankees getting on a tear, but there are times that they just look downright awful. They did, right after they had swept the Royals earlier in the season. Just as an example, there is no dominant team this year. It's a wide open field going into the playoffs.
By the way, should mention this, that before the Royals and Guardians see each other once again, like we mentioned, the Royals are heading to Houston for 4. Cleveland will have a day off tomorrow before they start 3 against the Pittsburgh Pirates, the worst team in the National League Central.
Curious, though, and I need to double-check when Skeens throws next.
He pitched today. They had a 7-run lead on the Cubs in the 7th inning, and
so
the Cubs scored 11 unanswered to come back. So
awful bullpen.
This gentleman sitting across from you two is pretty happy right now, to say the least.
So that means that Skeens will be unavailable this weekend.
Yeah, he's not pitching this weekend. You got to feel good though if you're the Royals right now. You're a game back, you're going into Houston, you did your job in Cleveland, you took 3 out of 4. You're in a good position right now. You're likely going to the playoffs regardless of what happens the rest of the way unless there's a historic collapse. But you got to feel good about the Royals right now. They've been playing some really good ball lately, and to go into that ballpark and take 3 out of 4 this week's pretty darn good.
Yeah, for the Royals, if you look at the wild card, obviously that's pretty major still right now. Even if the Royals don't win the division, they're in a good spot as they've taken the 2nd spot. Now the Twins hold the 3rd spot. Well, the Red Sox are still 4 games back of the Twins. That puts them 6 back of the Royals. So your odds of making the playoffs with this one series has grown big time. And so, I mean, the Royals are just getting started with what feels like this gauntlet of a schedule is for the next couple of weeks.
There's some separation that has begun to take place. However, when you realize that it's 72 right now, that's the low mark for the wild card. If the Astros would fall out of the division lead, they're 3 up on the Mariners right now in the win column. Then that puts it down to 70 as the low mark. Then you get into the 60s for teams. The Red Sox sitting at 68 wins. How about the Tigers still in the possibility of making it?
Still in the hunt.
At 67 and 66.
They got a lot of work to do, but they still have a shot. AJ showing me Baseball Reference that puts the Royals playoff odds at 95.1% chance to make the postseason.
Yeah. I had seen someone joking last week about that number because he had seen the prediction number from someplace and someone else said, just wait till you get on Baseball Reference if you're excited.
It's been 9 years since the Royals have been in the playoffs and won the World Series. It doesn't feel like 9 years ago to me.
I know. Yeah.
I've been saying this a lot to people. It feels like 2014 all over again. They got off to kind of, they had a decent start to this year, but they were kind of in the middle of the year. You were kind of like, we don't know. And then they just caught fire in August in the second half and made it to the postseason and went on that incredible run. It definitely feels like that. They may not have the talent that 2014 team had, but they're definitely in a position right now where you have kind of that nostalgic feeling like about that team.
I think it was at my 5-year high school reunion that the Royals, were they playing against the White Sox that clinched their playoff spot?
September 26th of 2014. I guess that.
What was the – I was going to say, that was a hell of a – I was convinced. What was the final score?
Was it like 3-0? Look it up.
Astros, by the way, leading the Phillies this afternoon, top of the 7th by 7-0.
Boy, they've been scuffling here for about a month now. The Phillies have.
Well, the Phillies are going to win that series,
despite taking 2 of 3.
Yeah.
Their problem is who they had starting today on the mound.
Who pitched?
That was a bad idea because he just has not been able to do anything for them. And I'm looking here. Give me a moment. Stats. There we go. Walker, Taijuan Walker.
Yeah, Skywalker. It was 3-1. I'm sorry, guys. I screwed up. Horrible day for me. I messed that up now.
For crying out loud. Yes?
Well, I was just looking at what the Royals have, like what's the rest of their schedule coming up, because I just mentioned the gauntlet, and I'm trying to count up the games like until they play the Pirates themselves.
Yeah.
So I think it's 13. So they had they've played 7 of the 20. Now they're 13 left of what's the toughest schedule? The toughest 20 game stretch that was left in baseball.
Yeah, because you've still got the Yankees in that mix as well.
The Yankees are right before the road trip to. Actually, that is a road trip, but they'll be facing the Pittsburgh Pirates. That's when it ends. September 12th is when it ends, because September 11th they're going to be in New York City to play the Yankees. Man, to win those 3 against Cleveland, you hope that momentum stays strong. Brady Singer, then you have Lugo and Reagans. They'll be the first 3 pitchers in the series against the Houston Astros, which begins tomorrow night for a 7:10 first pitch and pregame coverage at 6:30. Let's wrap up Hour 1, Hour 2. Coming up next, if you want a chance to win K-State football tickets, text CATS to 785-537-1350. In our prediction, K-State regular season over-under and wins at 9.5. We'll discuss next on The Game.